Liam had always felt trapped in the city. Every day he walked the same streets, passed the same buildings, and heard the same noises. The endless traffic, the shouting people, and the bright lights made him feel restless and tired. He worked in a small office with many other people, but the work never made him happy. Every day felt like the same routine repeated again. He often looked out of the office window, imagining a place where life moved slower, where he could breathe freely, and where he could hear the wind and birds. For months, Liam thought about leaving. The idea of a quiet life in nature grew stronger with each passing day. He wanted to escape the crowds, the noise, and the pressure of deadlines. He wanted a life where he could feel connected to the earth, watch plants grow, and sleep under the stars. One morning, while sipping his coffee and staring at the busy streets below, he made a firm decision. He would leave the city behind and start a new life in the woods. He spent the next few days planning carefully. He knew he could not take everything he owned. Instead, he selected only the essentials. He packed a sturdy backpack with some clothes, a small cooking pot, a sleeping bag, a notebook, and a few tools he thought would be useful. He wanted to carry only what he truly needed, and nothing extra. Liam felt a sense of excitement as he prepared. The city, with its noise and constant hurry, had made him forget what life could be like when it was simple. He wanted to remember that now. The day he decided to leave, Liam walked through the city streets with a calm mind. He passed the tall buildings one last time and noticed details he had never paid attention to before. The colors of the flowers in a small park, the laughter of children playing near a fountain, and the smell of fresh bread from a bakery. He smiled quietly, feeling grateful for the city, but also ready to leave it behind. As he walked farther from the center of the city, the noise slowly faded. The streets became quieter, the cars fewer, and the air cleaner. Liam took a deep breath and felt his chest expand. He had not realized how much he had missed the simple act of breathing freely. He continued his journey, walking until the city became a memory and the forest began to appear on the horizon. The forest was more beautiful than Liam had imagined. The trees were tall and strong, their leaves shining in the sunlight. Birds flew from branch to branch, singing happily, and small animals moved quietly through the underbrush. The air smelled of earth, flowers, and fresh leaves. Liam felt a deep sense of peace. He knew he had made the right choice. Here in this quiet place, he could start the life he had always dreamed of. That first night in the forest, Liam set up a small tent in a clearing. The ground was soft with fallen leaves, and the moonlight filtered gently through the trees. He lit a small campfire and cooked a simple meal. As he ate, he listened to the sounds of the forest. Crickets chirped, owls hooted in the distance, and the wind whispered through the branches. For the first time in many years, Liam felt completely calm. He wrote in his notebook about the feeling of freedom, the smell of the forest, and the beauty of the night. He fell asleep under the stars, smiling and dreaming of the days to come. The next morning, Liam woke early. The sunlight poured through the trees, warming his face. Birds sang cheerfully, and a small deer passed by the clearing, pausing to look at him. He felt a connection to this place he had never felt in the city. It was as if the forest welcomed him and wanted him to stay. Liam packed his small tent and began to explore the area. He wanted to find a perfect spot where he could build his new home. He walked through the forest, observing the land carefully. He looked for a place near a small stream so he would have fresh water, with enough sunlight for plants and some flat areas suitable for building. As he walked, he thought about the life he wanted. He imagined a small stone cabin surrounded by trees, a garden where he could grow vegetables, and fields where he could plant fruit trees. He pictured himself working with his hands, feeling the soil, and watching life grow around him. The thought made him smile. After walking for hours, Liam found a beautiful spot. A gentle stream flowed nearby. The ground was soft and clear of large rocks, and sunlight reached the area for most of the day. Trees surrounded the clearing, giving privacy and shelter from the wind. Liam knew this was the place. He decided he would build his new home here. The idea of starting fresh filled him with energy. Before beginning the construction, Liam spent a few days in the clearing, observing the forest and the animals. He learned where the sunlight fell during the day, where the ground stayed dry, and where the wind was calm. He noticed birds building nests, rabbits hopping around, and squirrels collecting nuts. He began to feel part of this world. The forest was no longer just a place he had escaped to. It had become his home in his heart. Liam started small, making a simple shelter using branches and leaves. It was only temporary, but it gave him a place to rest and stay dry. He slept under a makeshift roof and cooked simple meals over a small fire. Each day he felt stronger and more confident. He realized that he could survive and even thrive in this new life. He no longer missed the city. The noise, the stress, and the hurry felt distant, almost unreal. As days turned into weeks, Liam collected stones and wood for his future cabin. He learned to move quietly in the forest, to watch the weather, and to find the best places for gathering food. He discovered wild berries, mushrooms, and herbs. He even found a small patch of fertile soil that could be used for growing vegetables. The forest was teaching him everything he needed to know. Liam was grateful and patient. He knew that building a new life would take time, but he felt ready for the challenge. One afternoon, as he sat by the stream, Liam thought about the life he had left behind. The city seemed like another world. He remembered the crowded streets, the endless noise, and the stress that filled every day. But here by the water, with the sun shining and the birds singing, he felt calm. He realized that happiness did not come from money, busy schedules, or tall buildings. Happiness came from peace, work that mattered, and a connection with life itself. Liam spent the evening planning his cabin. He drew sketches in his notebook, imagining each wall, the roof, and the small windows that would let in sunlight. He thought about a garden where he could grow carrots, tomatoes, and herbs. He even imagined a small orchard of fruit trees. The more he planned, the more excited he became. This was the life he had dreamed of, and now he could make it real. That night, Liam sat by his small fire and looked at the stars. The sky was clear, and the Milky Way stretched across it like a ribbon of light. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought him here. He was no longer a city worker. He was a hiker, a builder, and a farmer in the making. His heart was full of hope and determination. Liam fell asleep with a smile, ready for the adventure that awaited him with the rising sun. The first chapter of his new life had begun. Liam knew challenges would come, but he felt ready to face them. The forest had welcomed him, and he had found a place where he could live freely and peacefully. This was only the beginning, but Liam understood that every day in this life would be full of learning, growth, and joy. Liam woke up early that morning, feeling the crisp forest air on his face. The sunlight filtered gently through the trees, and the soft sound of the stream nearby gave him a sense of peace. Today was an important day. He would begin building his stone cabin, a place that would be his home for years to come. He had imagined this moment for months, and now it was finally here. He first walked around the clearing, examining the land carefully. The ground was mostly flat, with patches of soft soil and stones scattered around. Some stones were large and heavy, while others were smaller and easier to move. Liam thought carefully about where each stone would go. He wanted his cabin to be strong, safe, and warm. The structure needed to withstand rain, wind, and cold nights. Liam started by marking the shape of the cabin on the ground. He used small sticks to outline the walls, making sure the corners were straight. He imagined a small rectangular cabin with a door in the front and a tiny window on each side. The window would let in sunlight during the day and show the stars at night. He felt a sense of satisfaction as he walked around the outline. This was the first step toward a life he had always dreamed of. Next, Liam began gathering stones for the walls. He chose the sturdiest ones and carried them carefully to the site. Each stone had to fit well with the others, so he spent time arranging them, testing their weight, and adjusting their positions. It was hard work, but Liam enjoyed it. His muscles ached, but the ache felt good because it reminded him that he was building something with his own hands. As he worked, Liam thought about the cabin's design. He wanted the walls to be thick enough to stay warm in winter, but also light enough to let in sunlight. He decided to leave a small space between some stones, which he could later fill with clay and mud. This would make the walls even stronger and help keep the cabin cozy. Liam felt proud of his plan. He had never built a stone house before, but he learned quickly and trusted his instincts. Hours passed, and Liam had moved many stones into place. The first layer of the cabin walls was already taking shape. He paused to rest by the stream, letting the cool water refresh him. The forest around him was calm, and Liam could hear birds singing in the trees. He smiled, feeling grateful for this peaceful life. He had escaped the city, and every moment now felt alive and meaningful. After a short rest, Liam returned to his work. He carefully lifted each stone and placed it on the walls, making sure it fit perfectly with the others. Some stones were tricky to balance, but Liam experimented until they stayed in place. He enjoyed the challenge and felt a strong connection to the land and the materials he was using. Every stone he placed made the cabin feel more like home. By late afternoon, the walls had grown higher and the cabin's shape was clear. Liam stepped back to admire his progress. The structure was still small, but it looked strong and inviting. He imagined the nights he would spend inside, safe from wind and rain, and the mornings when sunlight would pour through the windows. The thought made him feel happy and excited for the future. After a long day of work, Liam collected firewood for the evening. He built a small campfire near the cabin and cooked a simple meal. As he ate, he thought about the cabin and the life he was creating. The forest had given him everything he needed: stones, wood, water, and food. He realized that living close to nature required patience, observation, and respect for the land. Liam felt a deep sense of connection with the world around him. The next morning, Liam woke early again, eager to continue. He spent the morning adding more layers to the cabin walls. Each layer required careful attention, but Liam enjoyed the work. He imagined the cabin finished with a small roof made from branches and clay and a cozy corner inside for sleeping and cooking. He also thought about adding shelves for his tools and a small table for writing and reading. As the days passed, Liam worked steadily. He collected more stones from nearby areas, sometimes walking for hours to find the perfect ones. He also dug small holes to anchor the walls, making sure they would not shift or fall. The work was tiring, but Liam felt alive. He no longer thought about the city or the busy streets. The forest had become his world, and he wanted to give back by building a home that respected the land. One morning, while carrying a large stone, Liam noticed a small deer watching him from the edge of the clearing. He stopped and smiled at the animal, which blinked calmly and then disappeared into the trees. Liam felt a sense of companionship with the forest creatures. They were curious, gentle, and part of the life he now shared. He continued working, careful not to disturb the animals, but happy to see them nearby. By the end of the first week, the cabin's walls were nearly half their final height. Liam took time each day to plan his next steps. He thought about the roof, which would need strong beams and a layer of clay to keep rain out. He also considered the floor, which he wanted to make from flat stones and earth smooth and comfortable to walk on. Each decision was important, and Liam enjoyed thinking through every detail. During breaks, Liam explored the area around the clearing. He found a small patch of fertile soil that would be perfect for planting vegetables. He noticed sunlight reaching this patch for most of the day, and the water from the stream could be used for irrigation. Liam began imagining rows of carrots, tomatoes, and lettuce. He felt excited about the idea of growing his own food and learning the rhythm of farming. The forest seemed to reward Liam's efforts. The weather was mostly clear, and the ground stayed dry enough for him to work comfortably. Birds helped by eating insects, and the small animals kept the area lively and interesting. Liam learned to move carefully among the trees, respecting the natural balance. He realized that living close to nature was not just about survival. It was about harmony, patience, and observation. One evening, after a long day of carrying and placing stones, Liam sat by the stream and reflected on his progress. The cabin was taking shape, and he could already imagine sleeping inside. He thought about the meals he would cook on a small stove, the books he would read, and the notes he would write about his life in the forest. He felt a sense of accomplishment and gratitude. Each stone, each step, and each day brought him closer to the life he had dreamed of for so long. Over the next few weeks, Liam worked on the cabin steadily. The walls grew taller, and he began preparing the space for the roof. He collected strong branches and tied them together with vines to create beams. He tested each beam carefully before placing it on the walls, making sure it would hold the weight of clay and other roofing materials. The work required patience and focus, but Liam enjoyed every moment. At the same time, he began clearing the fertile patch of soil for his garden. He removed stones, pulled weeds, and turned the earth carefully. He marked rows for planting and thought about the vegetables he wanted to grow first. The idea of planting seeds, watering them, and watching them grow filled him with excitement. Liam realized that farming, like building, required patience, attention, and care. It was a slow process, but the rewards were worth every effort. By the end of the second month, the cabin walls were almost complete. and the roof beams were ready. Liam had built a small temporary roof with branches to keep out rain while he prepared the clay. The garden patch was ready for planting, and he had collected enough firewood to last several weeks. The forest had become his home, and he felt a sense of belonging he had never known in the city. Liam sat by the stream one evening, watching the sunset reflect on the water. He felt proud of what he had accomplished. He had left the city, faced challenges, and built a cabin with his own hands. He had prepared land for farming and learned to live in harmony with the forest. His life was simple, peaceful, and full of meaning. He understood that this was only the beginning, but he was ready for the days ahead. The stone cabin, slowly rising in the heart of the forest, symbolized a new life. Liam had escaped the noise and stress of the city to find freedom, purpose, and joy. Every stone placed, every row prepared for planting, and every day spent in the forest brought him closer to the life he had always dreamed of. The forest had become not just a place to live, but a teacher, a friend, and a home. Liam woke up to the soft light of the sun filtering through the trees. The morning air was cool and filled with the scent of earth and leaves. Today was an important day for him. The soil he had prepared for planting was ready, and he would sow his first seeds. He had imagined this moment for weeks, thinking about the small garden he would care for and the vegetables that would grow there. He carried a small basket filled with seeds to the prepared patch of soil. The sun warmed his back as he knelt down to plant the first row. Carefully, he placed each seed in the ground, leaving enough space between them to grow. He covered them gently with soil, patting it lightly with his hands. Liam felt a sense of excitement and responsibility. These seeds depended on him for water, sunlight, and care. As he worked, Liam observed the forest around him. Birds flew overhead, singing cheerfully, and squirrels moved quickly through the trees carrying nuts. A small rabbit peeked out from behind a bush, watching him with curiosity. Liam smiled at the animals. They had become his neighbors, and he felt connected to their world. The forest was alive with movement, and every sound reminded him that life continued in cycles and rhythms. After planting the first row, Liam took a break by the stream. He splashed cool water on his face and drank from the clear, flowing water. He watched the sunlight dance on the surface and felt a sense of peace. This was the life he had dreamed of, a life close to nature, full of purpose and calm. He made a small note in his notebook about the planting, describing the seeds, the soil, and the weather. Writing about his experiences made him feel even more connected to his new home. The next days were filled with care for the garden. Liam watered the seeds gently, making sure the soil stayed moist but not too wet. He removed small weeds that tried to grow among the vegetables and protected the young plants from small insects that could damage them. Each day he watched the soil carefully, learning how it responded to the sun, rain, and wind. Liam realized that farming required patience and attention, but it also gave him joy. Watching something grow because of his care was more rewarding than anything he had experienced in the city. One morning, after a gentle rain, Liam noticed small green sprouts emerging from the soil. He knelt down and examined them closely. Tiny leaves pushed through the earth, reaching for the sunlight. Liam felt a wave of happiness and pride. These little sprouts were the beginning of his first garden. He spoke softly to them, encouraging them to grow strong. He knew that with proper care, these plants would soon provide food and nourishment. As the weeks passed, Liam continued to work on his garden while also finishing the cabin. The walls were now complete, and he had started preparing the roof. He collected branches and tied them carefully to create a strong frame. Clay and mud would later cover the branches to form a roof that would keep out rain and cold. Every step of the cabin's construction taught him patience and problem-solving. Liam felt proud of what he had achieved with his own hands. The garden grew steadily. Carrots, tomatoes, lettuce, and herbs sprouted and developed leaves. Liam watered them daily and checked the soil carefully. He also began planning for future crops, thinking about planting potatoes, beans, and small fruit bushes. The idea of a self-sustaining garden filled him with motivation. He realized that living in the forest was not just about building a cabin. It was about creating a life that could provide for itself in harmony with nature. One afternoon, Liam noticed a group of birds trying to eat the small sprouts. He quickly made small barriers around the plants using sticks and leaves. The birds watched him curiously but did not come close to the protected plants. Liam smiled. Protecting his garden was part of the learning process. He understood that nature could be challenging, but every challenge was an opportunity to improve and grow. During his breaks, Liam explored the forest further. He discovered new paths, small clearings, and patches of wild berries. He collected some berries to taste and found them sweet and fresh. He thought about planting similar berries near his cabin in the future. Exploring the forest reminded him that this world was full of resources and beauty, if one looked carefully. Every day brought new discoveries and small joys. One day, while tending to the garden, Liam noticed dark clouds forming in the sky. He realized a storm was coming and quickly secured his small cabin. He added extra support to the roof and cleared the garden of fallen branches that could damage the young plants. When the rain started, he watched from inside the cabin. Water fell heavily and the wind moved the trees, but the cabin held strong. Liam felt confident in his work. He had built a home and a garden that could endure the forces of nature. After the storm passed, Liam went outside to check the garden. Some leaves were bent and a few small plants were knocked down, but most had survived. He carefully straightened the plants and watered the soil. He felt a sense of gratitude for the rain. It nourished the plants and refreshed the forest. Living close to nature taught him to respect the weather and adapt to its changes. Every storm, every sunny day, and every breeze became a teacher. As summer approached, the garden began to produce small vegetables. Tiny carrots pushed the soil upward, and little tomatoes formed on the vines. Liam harvested carefully, taking only what was ready and leaving the rest to grow. The first taste of vegetables from his own garden was delicious. Fresh, sweet, and full of life. He felt proud of his work, and grateful for the forest that provided everything he needed. Liam's days followed a gentle rhythm. Mornings were for tending the garden and collecting water. Afternoons were for working on the cabin, gathering firewood, or exploring the forest. Evenings were for cooking simple meals, writing in his notebook, and enjoying the quiet. The forest had taught him to appreciate small things: sunlight on leaves, the song of a bird, the cool touch of water. Every moment was full of meaning. One evening, while watching the sunset, Liam thought about the life he had left behind in the city. The streets, the noise, and the endless tasks seemed distant and unimportant. Here in the forest, every action had purpose. Every plant he nurtured, every stone he placed, and every step he took mattered. He realized that true happiness came from living simply, working with one's hands, and connecting with the world around him. Liam also began to notice small animals visiting his garden. Rabbits, squirrels, and birds watched from a distance. He learned to protect his crops without harming them. He created small fences from sticks and leaves and found ways to keep the animals away gently. The forest was teaching him balance. Life was not about control, but about understanding and harmony. By the end of the season, Liam had a thriving garden. Vegetables grew strong, and herbs provided fresh flavors for his meals. He had built a sturdy cabin and started shaping the forest clearing into a home. He felt proud, content, and full of gratitude. The city life he had left behind seemed like a distant memory. Here, every day was filled with learning, work, and joy. Liam had created a life that was simple, peaceful, and meaningful. The first harvest was small but rewarding. Liam enjoyed the taste of fresh vegetables, knowing that they had grown with his care and attention. He also shared some with the small forest creatures, scattering a few leaves and berries near the trees. The animals accepted the offerings, and Liam felt a sense of friendship with them. The forest was alive, and he was a part of it. At night, Liam sat by the fire outside his cabin. The stars shone brightly in the sky, and the forest was calm. He reflected on the months he had spent building, planting, and learning. Every day had brought new experiences and lessons. He felt proud of the life he had created and excited for the future. Liam knew that many challenges still awaited him, but he felt ready. The forest had become his teacher, friend, and home. The stone cabin and the thriving garden were symbols of a new life. Liam had escaped the city to find freedom and purpose. Every seed planted, every stone placed, and every day spent in the forest brought him closer to the life he had dreamed of. He had learned patience, responsibility, and harmony with nature. This was only the beginning, but Liam knew that he had found a path to happiness and fulfillment in the quiet heart of the forest. Liam woke up to the soft golden light of the morning. The forest was calm, and birds sang cheerfully among the trees. He stretched and took a deep breath, feeling the freshness of the air in his lungs. The garden he had planted earlier was growing steadily. Small carrots pushed upward through the soil. Tomato plants reached for the sunlight and the herbs filled the air with fragrant scents. Today, Liam had a new plan. He wanted to expand his farming and grow more vegetables and fruits to enjoy fresh food throughout the year. He began by observing the land around his cabin. There were patches of fertile soil beyond the garden, receiving enough sunlight and near the stream for easy watering. Liam imagined rows of beans, peppers, and cabbage in one area, and a small orchard with apple and plum trees in another. He carefully mapped the land in his notebook, drawing lines and marking spots for each type of plant. Planning was important. A well-organized farm would be easier to maintain and more productive. The first step was to clear the new area. Liam moved small rocks, pulled out weeds, and loosened the soil with his hands and simple tools. It was hard work, but he felt energized. Being outside in the sunlight, breathing fresh air, and working with his hands made him feel alive in a way he had never felt in the city. Every action, from planting seeds to moving stones, reminded him of the importance of patience and effort. After preparing the soil, Liam began planting seeds for the new crops. He started with beans and cabbage, placing each seed carefully in small holes and covering them gently with soil. He watered the young plants, making sure the soil was moist but not heavy with water. Liam enjoyed watching each seed disappear into the soil, imagining the growth that would follow. Farming taught him that life required time and care, but the results were rewarding. While working, Liam noticed small animals visiting the new farm area. Rabbits hopped near the soil, curious about the fresh plants, and birds flew overhead. He created small protective fences using sticks and vines to keep the animals away from the young crops. He learned to be gentle and thoughtful, finding solutions that respected the forest and its creatures. The animals were not enemies but neighbors in the world he now shared. Liam also thought about the future. He wanted to store food for the winter months. He began making small storage spaces near the cabin, using stones and wood to create cool, dry areas where vegetables and herbs could be kept fresh. He experimented with different ways to protect the crops, learning from experience. The work was challenging, but Liam found joy in solving problems and improving his farm. One afternoon, while watering the garden, Liam noticed a small stream that flowed near the orchard area he had planned. He decided to create a simple irrigation system, using channels made from small stones and clay to direct water to the plants. It was careful work, but the effort paid off. Water flowed gently along the channels, reaching the young plants evenly. Liam felt proud of his growing knowledge and skills. Living close to nature required creativity, observation, and patience. As the days passed, Liam planted more seeds and small fruit trees. He added strawberries, blueberries, and a few young apple trees. The process was slow, but he knew that with time the farm would provide abundant food. He also began composting leaves and plant waste, mixing it with soil to improve its fertility. Every task he completed strengthened the connection between him and the land. Liam felt that the forest was teaching him the natural rhythm of life. Liam also spent time improving the cabin. The stone walls were strong, and the roof was now covered with clay and branches, keeping out rain and cold. He added shelves inside for storing tools, seeds, and cooking items. A small table and a simple chair made the cabin cozy. Every detail mattered, from the placement of windows to the smoothness of the floor. Liam enjoyed seeing the cabin take its final form, becoming a comfortable and safe home. During his breaks, Liam explored the forest further. He discovered hidden paths, small clearings, and natural springs. Each new discovery gave him ideas for expanding his farm or collecting food and resources. He found wild herbs, nuts, and mushrooms that could be used for meals. The forest offered endless lessons, teaching him to observe carefully, act thoughtfully, and respect the natural world. One morning, Liam noticed that some plants in the garden were growing faster than others. He adjusted the spacing, watered carefully, and removed weak shoots to allow the stronger ones to flourish. He learned to read the plants, noticing subtle signs in their leaves, stems, and roots. The garden became a living teacher, showing him how to care for life patiently and attentively. As the weeks turned into months, Liam's farm grew steadily. Rows of vegetables flourished, herbs released fragrant scents, and small fruit trees began to develop tiny buds. The air was filled with life, and the clearing around the cabin became a place of abundance. Liam felt proud of the work he had done. Every seed planted, every stone moved, and every day spent caring for the land brought him closer to the life he had imagined. One day, While walking near the orchard, Liam saw a deer drinking from the stream. It looked up at him and blinked calmly. Birds sang in the trees above, and squirrels moved quietly among the branches. Liam felt a sense of harmony with the forest. He realized that living in nature required observation, patience, and respect. Every action had consequences, and every choice mattered. He felt grateful for the lessons the forest taught him every day. The farm also taught Liam about time and seasons. He observed how the sun moved across the sky, how rain nourished the plants, and how the wind shaped the forest. Each season brought different challenges and opportunities. Spring was for planting, summer for tending and harvesting, autumn for storing food and preparing for cold months, and winter for reflection and planning. Liam understood that life followed natural rhythms, and living in harmony with these rhythms brought peace and fulfillment. Liam also experimented with new methods to make farming easier. He created raised beds for some vegetables, allowing water to drain efficiently. He made small paths between rows for easy access and added compost to enrich the soil. Every innovation came from observation, trial, and careful thought. The farm became not only a source of food, but also a place of learning, creativity, and satisfaction. Evenings were Liam's favorite time. After a long day of work, he sat by the fire near the cabin. He enjoyed cooking meals with fresh vegetables from the farm, drinking water from the stream, and writing in his notebook. He recorded observations about the plants, animals, and weather. He also sketched ideas for future expansions, new crops, and improvements to the cabin. Writing helped him reflect and plan, making each day purposeful and rewarding. One evening, Liam looked at the forest around him. The trees swayed gently in the breeze. The stream sparkled in the fading sunlight, and the garden glowed with life. He realized how much he had grown since leaving the city. He had built a cabin, planted a garden, expanded his farm, and learned to live in harmony with the forest. The life he had dreamed of was becoming real, and he felt a deep sense of gratitude and accomplishment. As the farm continued to thrive, Liam also thought about the future. He planned to plant more fruit trees, expand the vegetable rows, and create a small herb garden for medicine and cooking. He also considered creating a small pond to collect water and attract more wildlife. Every plan was careful and thoughtful, reflecting his growing understanding of the forest and the land. The forest had become more than a home. It was a teacher, a partner, and a friend. Liam realized that every stone, every seed, and every task mattered. He felt strong, capable, and at peace. The life he had built was simple, meaningful, and full of joy. The cabin, the farm, and the forest together created a life of freedom, purpose, and harmony. By the end of the season, Liam's expanded farm was thriving. Vegetables were abundant. Herbs filled the air with fragrance, and fruit trees showed promise of future harvests. The clearing around the cabin was transformed into a home filled with life and potential. Liam felt proud and content. He had escaped the city to find a life of freedom and purpose, and he had succeeded. Every day in the forest brought learning, growth, and happiness. The stone cabin and the flourishing farm were proof that a life built with patience, care, and respect for nature was a life full of meaning. Liam woke early to the soft morning light. The forest was calm and birds sang sweetly in the trees. His stone cabin stood strong in the clearing, surrounded by thriving gardens, small fruit trees, and healthy patches of vegetables. After months of careful work, planning, and patience, the farm had grown into a self-sufficient home. Liam felt a deep sense of pride as he stepped outside and looked at the land he had nurtured. He began his day by walking through the garden, inspecting the plants carefully. Carrots were thick and healthy, tomatoes hung heavy on the vines, and the herbs released fragrant scents into the air. The small fruit trees he had planted earlier now had buds and tiny fruit starting to form. Liam watered the plants gently and checked the soil, making small adjustments where needed. Each plant was a living testament to his patience, care, and dedication. After tending the garden, Liam collected vegetables for breakfast. He picked fresh carrots, ripe tomatoes, and a few leaves of basil. Using his small cooking stove inside the cabin, he made a simple meal. The taste of fresh food grown by his own hands brought him joy that no city meal could ever provide. As he ate, he looked out the window at the forest. Deer moved gracefully near the stream. Birds flew from branch to branch, and squirrels carried nuts along the paths. Liam felt connected to the forest as never before. The morning passed in careful work. Liam pruned plants, added compost to enrich the soil, and repaired the small protective fences around his crops. He also gathered firewood to prepare for cooler nights. Working in harmony with the forest gave him energy and satisfaction. Every task, whether small or large, was meaningful. In the city, he had spent hours doing work that felt empty, but here every action contributed to his life and well-being. By midday, Liam took a break and explored the surrounding forest. He discovered new patches of wild herbs, mushrooms, and berries. He collected some to use for meals, carefully leaving plenty behind for the forest animals. The more he explored, the more he appreciated the abundance around him. The forest had become a teacher, showing him where resources could be found and how to use them responsibly. Liam felt grateful for every lesson it had offered. After returning to the cabin, Liam began preparing for a larger project. He wanted to expand the orchard and add more variety to his garden. He selected areas near the stream where the soil was rich and sunlight reached throughout the day. Liam planned rows of potatoes, beans, peppers, and leafy greens. He also decided to plant apple, plum, and cherry trees to create a small, productive orchard. The planning required careful thought and mapping, but Liam enjoyed the process. Each choice would make his life in the forest easier and more abundant. Planting the new crops was hard work. Liam dug the soil, arranged seeds carefully, and watered each row. He also added compost and small protective barriers to ensure the young plants could grow without interference from animals. He paused often to rest, drink water, and observe the forest around him. The sun warmed his back and the wind carried the fresh scent of trees and soil. Liam felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that he was building a life in balance with nature. As the weeks passed, Liam's new crops began to grow. Tiny shoots appeared, reaching for sunlight, and leaves spread wide to catch the warmth of the sun. Liam monitored their progress, watering and caring for them daily. He also continued improving the cabin, adding a small shelf for storing seeds and a table for preparing meals. Every improvement made life more comfortable and efficient, allowing him to spend more time tending the land. One morning, Liam noticed that the small fruit trees he had planted earlier were blossoming. Tiny flowers filled the branches with color, and bees visited each blossom, spreading pollen. He watched the bees with fascination, realizing how each small creature contributed to the life of the forest. Liam felt a sense of connection to every living thing around him. The forest was not just a place to live. It was a community of life, and he was part of it. The summer passed with steady growth in the farm. Vegetables flourished, herbs grew thick and fragrant, and the young trees began producing small fruits. Liam harvested carefully, taking only what was ready and leaving the rest to mature. The fresh produce provided meals that were nourishing and flavorful. Cooking and eating in this way gave him happiness that came from knowing he had worked for every bite. Life in the forest was simple, but it was full of meaning and satisfaction. Liam also spent time improving his routines. He created small compost areas, organized firewood, and set up rain collection channels to water the garden efficiently. He experimented with planting patterns and observed how the sun moved across the clearing to maximize sunlight for the crops. Every day brought small improvements and lessons. Living closely with nature required awareness, patience, and problem-solving. Liam appreciated each challenge because it taught him skills he had never learned in the city. One afternoon, a gentle rain began to fall. Liam watched from the cabin window as water dripped from leaves, filled the small channels, and nourished the garden. He felt grateful for the rain. It was essential for life, and it reminded him that nature provided everything he needed when he worked in harmony with it. He spent the afternoon inside, writing in his notebook about the growth of the plants, the animals he observed, and the lessons he learned. Recording his experiences helped him understand and appreciate the life he had built. By the end of the season, Liam's forest life had become complete. The stone cabin was cozy and functional, the garden was thriving, and the orchard showed promise of future harvests. The forest provided everything he needed: food, water, wood, and beauty. Liam had grown strong, patient, and content. He had learned to care for the land, observe the cycles of nature, and live in harmony with the forest creatures. Life was fulfilling in a way he had never known in the city. Liam spent the evenings sitting by his fire, watching the stars fill the night sky. The forest was quiet, except for the occasional call of an owl or the rustle of leaves in the wind. He reflected on his journey, from the crowded city streets to this peaceful clearing. Every step he had taken had been worth it. He had built a home, grown food, learned the rhythm of life, and found freedom. The quiet moments under the stars reminded him of the vastness of the world and the happiness of living simply. Sometimes Liam thought about the city he had left behind. He remembered the noise, the rush, and the endless schedules. Compared to his life in the forest, it seemed distant and unimportant. Here, every action mattered. Every seed planted, every stone moved, and every meal cooked was part of a meaningful life. The forest had taught him that happiness did not come from possessions or speed, but from care, attention, and harmony with the world. As winter approached, Liam prepared carefully. He harvested the last of the crops, stored vegetables and herbs in cool areas near the cabin, and ensured firewood was plentiful. The forest had slowed down, and he noticed the changes in light, temperature, and the movement of animals. He welcomed the slower pace, knowing that winter was a time for rest, reflection, and planning. Liam felt grateful for every season, for each taught him lessons and gave him opportunities to grow. The stone cabin, surrounded by a thriving farm and forest, had become more than a home. It was a symbol of patience, dedication, and harmony. Liam had created a life where work and joy were intertwined. Every day he felt connected to the land, the plants, and the animals. Life had meaning in every small task and every observation. He realized that he had found exactly what he had been searching for: peace, freedom, and fulfillment. On a clear winter night, Liam sat outside by the fire, looking at the stars above. The cold air was crisp and the forest was silent except for the gentle flow of the stream. He thought about the journey he had taken, from the city, tired and restless, to this place full of life and beauty. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for every moment, every challenge, and every lesson. The forest had become his home, his teacher and his companion. Liam smiled, knowing that the life he had built was complete. The stone cabin was solid, the farm was abundant, and he had learned to live in harmony with the forest. Every day was full of purpose, joy, and learning. He had found freedom, satisfaction, and peace, and he knew that the forest would continue to guide and nurture him. This life, built with patience, care, and respect for nature, was exactly what he had dreamed of. Liam closed his notebook, feeling content and at peace. He had created a home, a garden, and a life that was meaningful, simple, and beautiful. The forest had given him everything he needed, and he had given it care, respect, and attention. Together they had created a life full of growth, harmony, and happiness. Liam felt a quiet joy that came from knowing he had found his true place in the world.